Welcome to Ibis Weather. This is Sarah. This is the update for January 28th, 2026. We are going to talk about what is now known as Winter Storm Gianna. That is expected to happen over this weekend, third week in a row of having a threat of snow in the south. We're going to talk about where the models are showing, about if, where, when, and then also how much possible snow. Again, models, it's still too early to have exact numbers down to have an idea of what happened. It really kind of depends on where it forms and where it tracks, particularly. So we probably won't really get a good idea of that until like late tomorrow, Thursday, which is Thursday, the 29th, or even Friday, before we get a better idea of how much, when, and where can be expected, as this is right now still something that hasn't actually quite developed just yet. It's just looking like it will. And then we'll also show the key messages that the National Weather Service wants to share. As I do have to share those with everyone because I do feel like we don't see that very much here on social media. So I do like to give them kind of a platform to, get that information across as well. And then also my tips for you guys as we head towards the weekend. So we are going to go ahead and get started with a live view of the radar of the lower 48. Nothing, again, too wild or crazy. It's a pretty quiet day. Some rain showers over there in Vancouver and Seattle and a little bit to Oregon. Some snow showers over there in Idaho and Utah. A little bit into Montana and North Dakota. A little bit over there by Missouri and Illinois, a little bit into Iowa, and then of course Michigan and the Great Lakes over there by New York are getting some, and we're seeing a little bit of rain showers over there by the Keys of Florida. So again, pretty quiet day, better than what we've had, last weekend. Which luckily this storm, Winter Storm Gianna, will not be like that storm, not an ice threat, and not as a wide storm as what we're dealt with last weekend, which is good news, but still could have some serious impacts along the way. So let's go ahead and get started on Winter Storm Gianna. Again, she will be a low pressure system, also known as a nor'easter, which basically means form off the east coast and go up. She has potential to possibly cause blizzard conditions for some parts of the northern part of the country or the east coast, so mid Atlantic up to New England. Again, right now it's too early to know that, and then we might even see some snow in the deep south again come this weekend from her. Also known as a bomb cyclone. So let's go ahead and look at what the Euro shows for the precipitation rate and all this. So we're starting at, again, midnight on a Friday. Pretty quiet across the board. You see some snow over there in mid Atlantic New England, and of course in Michigan, a little bit over there in the northern plains. We slowly go in. We start seeing some snow. So as this storm kind of tracks along around this area, it will be pulling some moisture around with it because it will be a wide storm. It's just not going to be wide over the U.S. It will be, possibly off. The center of it could possibly be off the coast for a good bit. So that is some good news. But starting to see some snow over there in Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri come 6 a.m. So nothing too bad. Quickly dissipates. Start seeing it form over there in Kentucky into Virginia a little bit. Going into northeastern Tennessee and Virginia by 6 p.m. Friday. Going into Saturday morning, seeing it happen. Some snow happening over there, kind of in the north central portion of uh, South Carolina, growing more into Tennessee and North Carolina, into Georgia, dip into the northeast corner of Georgia. Keep going forward, see that grows. You start seeing more of that typical take of what a nor'easter would look like, which kind of, in some ways, we might say resemble a little bit of a tropical cyclone. Definitely having a little bit of banding of rain showers offshore, but with the cold air coming in from the um, deep cold, the polar vortex is coming down into the lower 48. That is why it is going to be snowy. See some snow over there on the coastal regions of North Carolina, possibly, if we were to believe this, by 3 o'clock Saturday. Uh, Snow even reaching into all of the East Coast, or the eastern side of Georgia, possibly, by 18, which would be 6 p.m, and still seeing that going on throughout the night of Saturday into Sunday morning. And then we kind of see it trekking up, seeing the snow kind of expand up. So again, starting to go up more into mid Atlantic by Sunday, kind of skating by the coast of the Mid-Atlantic and New England as it tracks northeastward. So that is the Euro. So again, don't think that this is, an exact science yet right now. We just don't know. That's one idea. One model I haven't really shown much of yet this year is Canadian, or I think I did during the summer hurricane season of 2025. So this is the first time we're going to be kind of showing it here on for Winter Storm. So we're going to start again at midnight on Friday. This one doesn't really show much of snow here in the mid to deep south yet. Going forward, start seeing a little bit of snow over there in Arkansas. Um, Ice over there in Mississippi and Alabama. They certainly don't need that. A little bit of rain further down into lower Mississippi and southeast Louisiana goes into Alabama, and then it just breaks into regular rain as it tracks into rest of Alabama, into North Florida and the Panhandle and Georgia. Start seeing the snow build in around 12 o'clock. So you see this. Let's go back one. So you can see. Yeah, you start seeing the snow a little bit around Saturday morning into Tennessee and Kentucky, and a little bit into the Carolinas. Um, then by noon on Saturday, you're definitely having snow in most of Tennessee, a good chunk of North Carolina, again, a good chunk of South Carolina, and starting to come into Georgia with some rain in the more coastal regions of that in Florida. And we can see that kind of happen. So again, you can start to see what a sensor low pressure would be. Definitely have banding. This one keeps it kind of more offshore, but still feeling the impacts heavily from North Carolina on to, down to Georgia. Anything green would be just cold rain. Kind of think of what we had this past weekend. This would continue to push it out to Sunday, and you start seeing snow even early Sunday morning for coastal, extreme coastal Georgia and South Carolina. A little bit heavier pockets of heavier snow over there, a little bit offshore of North Carolina and South Carolina, and a little bit more into North Carolina and going to Virginia. This one does bring the center pretty close to the outer banks of North Carolina and then quickly kind of pulls it out and away. And again, kind of just skimming the mid Atlantic up the northeast um, as one model. And then for the American model GFS, again, starting on Friday at midnight. Pretty quiet again, starting with this one shows some snow over there, starting in Arkansas again, moves into Tennessee, a little bit in Kentucky. This one shows no ice or snow for Alabama or Mississippi, which would be good news for those who are there since what they dealt with last weekend. You start seeing snow in Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia come midnight on Saturday. Build in more into North Carolina, a little bit into South Carolina, to Georgia, as it kind of, again, this one kind of pulls it more out offshore, so it's kind of bringing that snow down the coastline essentially. And this one kind of having it breaking apart a little bit, where you might see a little bit in Hilton Head or Savannah, Hinesville area, Darien, but again, this is just one model. And then again, kind of pulls it out and takes it away. And the Mid Atlantic and New England not really getting anything from this particular round. So that is for the GFS model. Let's go ahead and look at the 24-hour precipitation in inches. Again, these are model runs. So this is the 6 p.m. one for the GFS, so the American model again. So let's go ahead and go forward. Start seeing the snow. So you definitely this one's showing more snow, again, more in the mid-south, which you didn't really see that much on this one. So that's interesting. Yeah, this was the 18Z, so I'm not sure what is the disconnect on that. Again, that's two different model runs, essentially, I guess, if you will. But it's interesting nonetheless. You start seeing that building in more. You're seeing definitely North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina are definitely getting heavier. I mean, get up, into close to 2 inches in some areas off the coast of North Carolina. Seeing snow all the way down even to Savannah Sunday at 6 a.m. And this one again kind of shows it stops and then kind of is pulled out and away from the coastline. This is the Euro model, so we'll see again what this shows. This is again starting at midnight on Friday. Again, this one does show a little bit of snow for, or precipitation, I should say, rain or snow. But in this case, it would probably be a little bit snow for these areas. We're seeing some precipitation over there in Arkansas and Alabama, or not Alabama, Mississippi into Alabama. Keep going, start seeing it building over South Carolina and Georgia, the Panhandle, North Florida, filling in more Nashville, not Nashville, Tennessee, and North Carolina, and into southern West Virginia and Virginia. And we see that kind of filled in. Kind of skipping the Myrtle Beach area at the moment right now, 6 p.m. come Saturday. And that fills in more as it goes into Saturday night into Sunday morning. Seeing a little bit more of the heavier stuff over there, kind of on the coastal plain, if you will, of North Carolina. And then this one does show it kind of again skimming the coast of the Middle Atlantic into New England. And then for the Canadian model, again starting at midnight on Friday. Um, this one does show a little bit of difference between snow and rain. So a little bit of snow and rain mixed into Arkansas. Again showing the dreaded ice for a little bit of ice for Mississippi and Alabama. Again, Alabama then breaks up into terrain as it goes across the rest of Alabama into the panhandle of Florida. You start seeing the snow build into Kentucky, Tennessee, a little bit into South Carolina and North Carolina. Definitely by 12 o'clock Saturday, definitely seeing more of that snow build in and the rain getting pushed out, and it keeps going out. We see the center is pretty close to the coastline. Again, this is not hurricane, so don't worry about that. But we could have very strong gusty winds. The coastal regions, with depending on how close the center of the low will be. This is at midnight on Sunday, so definitely more snow as it continues to kind of push out and then go up, skimming the Mid Atlantic and New England and going over. So that is what that is looking like. So let's go ahead and talk about the key messages from the National Weather Service. So as you can see here, this is kind of their chance of at least moderate snow, fall impacts from Friday through Sunday night. So definitely it's looking like North Carolina. It's definitely going to be a little bit of the from the coastal to the middle part being kind of in the bullseye of it. You see a little bit of that going up in for Virginia, um, and a good chunk of South Carolina as well. But Charleston being about 50%, 40%. Hilton Head looks like it will be about 10%, 5 to 10%. Same for Savannah, um, and Brunswick at that point. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But heavy snow is possible, obviously, talking about for southern Appalachians, the Carolinas, and the Mid Atlantic. Confidence south of that, is they're not sure, they're not confident on that we will see snow. We'll have to wait and see. Um, but I do think that, and then also talking about the same for further points north of the Mid Atlantic. So New England, though New England does look like they will be getting some as well. Strong winds and coastal impacts, as I'm mentioning, essentially, if this was during the summertime, it would probably become a tropical storm. But because it is wintertime, it's not going to be classified as such. But however, it will still be considered rapidly deepening. So if you thought about like in the hurricane system, you go from tropical storm to Cat 5. They don't really have categories for the winter storms or nor'easters, but they still, can rapidly deepen, kind of rapid intensification, if you will. We're thinking strong winds for much of the southeast and east coast. Uh, some winds might overlap with snow. It will make it difficult to travel, obviously. Mid Atlantic and portions of North Carolina will have depending on again kind of where the center is and how close to the land it gets, could definitely have some powerful onshore winds, which could bring coastal flooding, unfortunately, as well, and dangerous waves. I would say it's probably true for even down to Florida, having possible dangerous waves just from where the storm could form, how big it will be, and all that. And then, of course, forecast uncertainty. Even though it is Wednesday, we are still just not confident on what's going to happen. Typically, these kind of storms are difficult to track. That was true even for a non-nor'easter, just a regular cold front. So it's harder to track. We just don't know. Kind of depends on again on kind of where it forms and where it moves. Um, Time will tell on that. There's really no way you can predict that, unfortunately. So, talking about, we're not sure how far south it would track, including we don't know the depth and how far it could go on Saturdays as far south. Of course, once it, passes Cape Hatteras on Saturday night, they're not sure about the impacts for the Northeast either. So time will tell. So right now, I'd say if you are in North Carolina and even extreme southeast of Virginia, I would say even a good portion of like kind of the central north areas of South Carolina, you should be taking time to top off any supplies that you may need. Get ready for that. While this is not going to be an ice event, if you get high winds and snow, it could still cause some damage, including power outages, especially if some trees were already weakened by the existing ice that you guys had. A lighter snowfall could still possibly make a tree snap, especially when you pair it with high wind. And then if it's a particularly wet snow, as this will definitely be getting moisture coming in from the ocean, it could be. So time will tell on that, but I would go ahead and take time now if you're in either of the Carolinas to start preparing. Georgia, stay on alert. North Carolina, I'm not North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, Eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia as well. Just start getting prepared, or follow, track it, start considering what you might want to go ahead and get and need before Friday comes, because it does look like Saturday will be kind of the main event. That is what we're thinking of right now until throughout Sunday. So you want to make sure you have your supplies ready. Hopefully you guys don't have issues with your stores getting things back in stock after the significant winter storm that we had, which was Winter Storm. Oh, I can't think of her name now. Isn't that funny how that goes? But so one that we had this past week, and go ahead and just make sure that you have your supplies stocked up on that. Continue to monitor, make sure you pay attention to any advisories that come out of the National Weather Service. And then also, if you're pay attention if your counties will be closing down roads or issuing people kind of stay at home during the weekend. Particularly, again, I'm thinking more for North Carolina, and maybe into South Carolina there. But time will tell on that. So just be prepared. Make sure you to follow and like a news source or a trusted source for weather updates. I'll continue to post updates. We'll continue to track this together, and I will talk to you guys later on. Thank you.